Hello there. I've decided to do, which I hope will be a short YouTube video concerning the installation of a Velux window blind for an electric Velux window. We had an extension done, well, almost 2 years ago now, and we had these 4 electric Velux windows installed. And after about a year, didn't have much of a summer last year, and this summer's obviously been very warm, so we thought it was about time we had roof blinds installed, because everything's getting worried about things being bleached, especially our new furniture. And I ordered 4 window blinds. It's worth noting that you can obviously order such blinds direct from Velux, and we would often wait for they often do 20% off sales. But what we didn't realise was you can order the same blinds from third-party sellers online, and they are original Velux blinds. They're not kind of third-party blinds. Obviously the windows are original Velux, and if you speak with them, you'll find that they are, exactly from the same factory, and everything's dealt with by Velux. So as soon as you make the order by these third-party companies, Velux sends you, everything's all arranged by them from the factory. Took a few days to arrive, but the price was much better. When we ordered the roof blinds from the company, they did tell us quite specifically it doesn't need a builder to install them. They are designed to be DIY from Velux. But they did warn me that, the first one may take quite a while, and then the others will be easier and easier to install. And that is absolutely true. But to be honest, this first one, so I've got 4 Velux windows installed, and this was the first one I did, partly because it's kind of partly over our island, and it was getting in the way of the ladder. So I decided to do this one first, because I thought it'd be quite difficult. And it took around 2 hours. And then that one there definitely got better, just 55 minutes. And then the one at the end of the room just took 40 minutes. And I'm going to do this one today. This will, ironically, it would probably take 30 minutes, but I'm going to YouTube it, so it'll take a bit longer. But the reason why I'm doing the YouTube video is because I felt the instructions that came with the blind, which I'll show you briefly in a moment, and they also do Velux, a kind of online type pictogram to tell you what to do, and it's all quite confusing. So it's like confusing me more often than not. It's worth knowing this is a video for people that have, and this will either say Velux electric or Velux Integra roof blinds. That means these windows are already powered. As things stand at the moment, because it's been raining today, I've opened this one manually, which means you can just pull this handle and open the windows manually, but otherwise you'll be using a remote control. When you use the remote control, you just have a little chain that connects to this area here that helps to pull the window open. But when you pull this handle manually, then it doesn't use that chain, and it means you can just open it in an emergency or just at your own speed. Obviously with the electric motors it takes a bit longer, but this is for roof blind installation for an electric or Integra branded Velux windows. So when you get the roof blinds delivered, like I said, we got 4, 3 of them done. This is the last one. You'll get it's not particularly heavy box, and you just use this strip cord just to help open the box. You may need some scissors just to cut the sellotape off the ends, and then when you open the box, you'll essentially have, well, some paperwork. Oh, sorry about that. So here's the instruction guide, which I'll show a few pages of, and then just all the European and various other paperwork notifications. And this at the end here is the main box. We're going to open in a minute. That's just some block of cardboard, but there's the actual roof blind, just protected by polystyrene ends, and these red guards are to stay on really until the end of the installation really. So that's kind of like the last part, to remove those in effect. if you open this box, you'll have just the guide for the actual remote. Each blind comes with a pre-paired remote control, and those form, you know, pretty much exactly the same as the ones that came with the actual electric window. And then this is the main thing you're going to use really for the entire installation. The inside, you've just got essentially six usable screws, and this is essentially a screwdriver, so everything's kind of prepared. Don't need any other tools apart from prepare the side panel for these screws, but you'd be better off using a proper instrument, which makes things much more easy. And then these will also be shown how to use towards the end. So you kind of have to use this instruction booklet, and again there's two sets of instructions. We're basically only using this because this is my particular window electric or Integra branded. If it doesn't have an electric motor, your window, then there's another more advanced kit which will include a motor, but this video is not going to include that at all. And this is the form of how the instructions are, so basically just pictograms, and they're a little bit iffy. And one of the first iffiest things is this, because obviously the windows have been installed on our extension roof. The roof is pretty high, it's over 3 meters at its highest point, and we basically bought a ladder some time ago, which is over there. And that ladder just means we can change things like the bulbs and things after that was the original, if you like, the original roof, which is a normal 2.4 meter roof, and at its highest point this is around 3.3 meters high. So we needed to buy a new ladder to change bulbs, things like that. But the first step of installing the blind is they're basically saying you have to remove or unplug this, essentially this cable. And this was the first bit I found really confusing, because it meant I had to kind of stand, which you're not meant to do if you know anything about ladder safety, meant to stand on that top step, poke my head outside of the window and unplug this cable. And I'm going to go up there now to show you this cable, but I'm going to say sometimes the window will have this cable plugged in already, but like on all my windows, that cable's already unplugged, so I didn't need to do anything, but I didn't realise that. So when I first got this initial window, when I fitted the blind to the first window, I was trying to figure out where this cable was. So I'm up the ladder now, I'm opening the window manually, and you're looking for this yellow label sticker. It's all only on one side of the Velux window. As you can see on mine, on the right side, there's no yellow label there. It's near the midpoint where the window pivots, it's only on one side, and that is telling you where these cables are. So we can see that now. That is the power cable for the blind. Hopefully it's in focus, and it kind of plugs in there. There's like a little white section at the bottom. I'm going to try and film that at the end, but mine's already tucked up out the way. So there was nothing for me to unplug, and there's nothing for me to unplug at the beginning. So just so you're aware of that, that's already tucked up out the way. So there is that little socket which is running beside, like a little channel beside the open Velux window, and that is where those power cable, or the end of that power cable, plugs in, but that's at the end. So looking in the instruction booklet, so fine, this is giving the impression I've already said that you have to unplug this cable. On my windows, this cable's already unplugged. That confused me the first time I installed the first blind. And then on this, it's actually saying very specifically, on the right hand side of the window in red, just remove the little cap. And there's like, again, an internal contact for the electric roof blind. And although my window's in exactly the same orientation as the instruction guide, that doesn't come off. And you can see it says, "I'll just use a screwdriver to lift this panel off." But on mine, and again, I was reading other reviews online, it's actually the left-hand side and not the right. So it's not that one, it's that one. And although it says use a screwdriver, you can just kind of pull this off. It just slides off or clicks off. And that is the internal electrical contact for the blind. And then obviously it takes that power from the outside cable there for the roof blind. So we're back at the box. This is the roof blind. You just have to take off these polystyrene ends like so, and that is it. It's not very heavy. You can hold it easily in one hand. That little cogged wheel, that will kind of grip the side tracks, which we'll install on the next step, or one of the next steps. That's what helps to extend and retract the blind as it grips a rail on either side. And you've got the same type of thing on the other side. And what you're looking at is that thing there. That is the bit that slots into the electrical contact on that left side corner, on my window anyway. So here I am, top of the ladder again. And that's one section. You're basically looking at this section. So this is the bit that we're going to try and slot into that bit there. But you have to put this bit in first. That's the contact. And if you've got to try and line it up, so you can see this is vertically orientated and that's vertically orientated in a line. So try and line it up. And it kind of fits flush to the back. And there we go. That's kind of, well, that's in on that side. And then on this side, same again. That's funny. There we go. There. And it clicks in like so. And the thing that gives it away is you can see the hinges clearly. And they're the same on both sides. And that's in now. And now we're going to move down to the lower end of the window to fit the brackets that hold the side runners in place. Okay, so next up you'll have this plastic, well there's two plastic brackets for each corner. You just bend it and get rid of this middle section first. Okay, that's a bit of rubbish. Put that there, and then essentially this is like a template that only fits one way. So basically this screw hole has to go into this side, and they've done it in such a way that this bit will come off later, but you just put it up against the side of the wall like so. You can't go up any higher because that's stopping it. And it's flush with the, well, flush with the wall. And then you're going to use this instrument just to make a little hole. Try and keep it at the correct height, like so. Put that back in, make it nice and safe. And then take one of the screws and you put that in there like so, and that should kind of stay there like so, because I've made a nice hole. Oop. And then use the screwdriver, supplied screwdriver, and just kind of screw that in. So, and I always say this now with the ladder I'm on, if you know about ladder safety, you're never meant to go on the top step, and I'm not on the top step of the ladder, but I'm near the top, and of course commonest cause of falling off the ladder is overreaching. So always manoeuvre the ladder so you're nice and comfortable, don't overstretch. So that's in, that's not going anywhere. And then you just break this bit off because you don't need that. That was almost like a guide like so. And that's one bracket done. And then we're going to use the other bracket to go on the other corner, like so, in exactly the same way. Okay. And just make sure that's kind of at the right height, because I'm pushing up. Can't go any more than where this lip is. Stop it going any higher. And you know this hole's going to be in the correct, or where the screw's going in is holding this bracket, so it's holding in the side runner, like so. Nice and tight, tight as it can be. There you go. Same again. Break that bit off. And that bracket's nicely in. And that bracket's nicely in. Right, next step is to remove these side runners. Tucked under there. So there's a pair of these. You may need to use a pair of scissors just to get this tight plastic protector off. Same on this side. And we've just got to separate these out. Now, and you can see there are two runners, and all I want you to take note of is one has a chamfered, if you like, diagonal edge, and the other side's a flat edge. And this side is the bit that goes towards the motor end where the blind is attached to the window. So again, chamfered edge, and that basically is going to go meet that edge. And then this end, especially this little bit here, is going to click up into that bracket there at the end. But you've got to put this end in first. So this is a little bit fiddly. Basically, you're looking at that metal plate, and this part of the mechanism has to kind of slide in into that groove, like so. So hopefully you can see that. And I'm just going to slide it up there. You'll hear it catch the wheel, and you're going to try and push that up as far as possible, because ideally you don't want any gap. So you're going to try and do that as much as possible. And down there, there we go, and that's in. And then same again for the other side. Again, we know that that diagonal end is going to go up and meet that corner, and the straight end is going to click up into that bracket. And so same again, that this bit has to slot into there. But you're going to, hopefully you can see that. Look at that lower gap, and you're looking at that obviously metal plate, but this little guide plastic, like so. You'll hear the, and then just try and slot that in as far as it goes. There we go, and that's clicked in. And there we go. And then screw these sections in on both sides, there, and there, and then that tracks nice and secure to the sidewall. This is going to be one of 6 screws then securing this track. Well, 3 on each side. One on the other side at the top. And that is the last one, and then that means the guide rail both sides. So 3 on each side, done, nice and tight. So that rack and that rack aren't going anywhere. You can see the screws all done. Right, so I'm just going to put the power cable back in. I'm looking over there, looks like it's going to rain. I think it is raining already, so I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to pull this cable down, and this is important. This is like attached here, it's kinked over. You've got to release that. Can do it one-handed. There we go, that's released. Again, on the first window I didn't release it, so every time I close the window it would unplug, and then you've got to slide this double white plug, ended plug, into that socket there, and then push in until you hear it click or feel it click, like so, and it's clicked. Again, you're not going to be able to see it, but if you try pulling it, it won't come out. That's nicely in that slot. So literally, I've just closed the window, started to rain really heavily. So it's now plugged in. They kind of said to do this step before you plug in, but it doesn't really make any difference. These red things need to be removed. They're red brackets to keep everything in place, because that's in place, so it's not going to slide out. But basically just pull that, snap it down, and then that's out, and then you slide these out like so. So pull, snap it down, and then slide that one out, and that's done. And that's all kind of installed basically. There's like a little pull tag which is keeping the battery fresh. Pull that out, and it's already prepared. So we'll see now. Oh my god, heavens are open, so I just done that in time, to be honest. There we go. Oh, that's really, really nice. Cool. So fine, that's all working nicely, that's all done. I've got 4 windows, and I've now got, that's the window and that's the new blind. So I don't think they're the most attractive of remotes, to be honest. They're too big and too cumbersome looking, and there's a way of merging all these into one, and all 4 windows done in essence, and they all work. I would like to show you the window opening normally, but because it's raining, they will not open electronically on the remote. I thought it had, when I first installed it, I thought I'd done something wrong because the windows didn't open, but it's because it was raining. And with the electronic function, they won't open when it's raining, or if it's wet. The sensor outside on the window frame, if it's wet, it won't open, but you can still open it manually, which is what I've been doing since I've done the install today. But hopefully you found that useful. If you did find it useful, then give it a thumbs up and a like. No need to subscribe, really. Nothing to subscribe. I just thought hopefully it'll make it easier than following the pictograms and the fairly basic visual animations that Velux provide on YouTube, which aren't very good. But anyway, hopefully you found that helpful. Okay, bye for now.